Good morning. Welcome into First Take. We start with breaking news. The deal is official. Aaron Rodgers has signed his contract with the Green Bay Packers. He'll make about $150 million in guaranteed money over the first 3 years of his new deal with the Packers, according to a copy of the contract that was obtained by ESPN. Due to the allocation of bonus money in the first year of the deal, the Packers will actually save close to $18 million against their salary cap for 2022. Stephen A., good morning. Swagoo, how we doing?
What's up, big boy?
Good. What up, family?
What's going on, baby?
Good to see you.
Y'all looking good up in that thing today.
Hey, we're trying. We're trying. Stephen A., I'll start with you. Your boy, that bad man. What's your reaction? $150 million guaranteed.
So what? Congratulations. Want a cookie? He's a the reigning two-time league MVP, a four-time league MVP. The greatest talent at the quarterback position that I've ever seen. I've thrown out all of those superlatives before. But for the last 11, 12 years or so, I've watched somebody else host the Lombardi Trophy. I could give a damn about his money. I'm happy he got it because he deserves it. But there's only two things that come across my mind. Number one, so what? Because we knew he was going to get paid. That news broke last week. And number two, and more importantly, Aaron Rodgers, could you do me a favor, please? Could you make sure that Davante Adams gets his money? Because last time I checked, that's the brother that's on the outside looking in. They trying to franchise tag him and have him play on a one-year deal, knowing how violent the sport is and that he could get hurt in practice. He could get hurt in training camp or whatever. Davante Adams deserves his money just as much as Aaron Rodgers deserved his money, whatever that money may be. And I think that that's the important point to point out. I will remind everybody that we're talking about a Davante Adams here that had 1,553 receiving yards last season. We're talking about a Davante Adams that 3 of the last 4 years, he's had 111 receptions for 1,386 yards in 2018. He had 115 receptions for 1,374 yards. And then this past season, okay, he had 123 receptions for 1,553 yards. I would say that the MVP award for Aaron Rodgers, all right, Davante Adams had everything to do with that, particularly over the last 2 seasons. So while Aaron Rodgers, everybody wanted to make news about Aaron Rodgers, which, by the way, was already news last week when he decided to stay in Green Bay. I don't know why it's breaking news now, but since we want to act like it's breaking news, okay, I'm not talking about the show. I'm not talking about the business. I'm just talking about us as Joe Public. Since we want to act like it's breaking news, Aaron Rodgers, can you win a Super Bowl? Aaron Rodgers, can you make sure Davante Adams gets his money? Because if Davante Adams doesn't get his money, then that very contract we're celebrating might be perceived as having a lot to do with the fact that Davante Adams ain't getting paid. And Davante Adams deserves to get paid. That's where I'm at with this swagoo. What about you?
And say this got to be a formality, to your point, with Davante Adams. They have to be working through structure. I will refuse to believe that we sitting here with Aaron Rodgers with $150 million guaranteed. We just watched Preston Smith, their defensive end, get signed, and Devondre Campbell, their linebacker. I understand the money can be complicated with Davante Adams, and it may take a little longer, but it better be a damn formality, all right? Now, on to Aaron Rodgers. These next 3 years, or however long he's in Green Bay, will determine his legacy and where he stands as a quarterback amongst the greats. Not talent, not what he's accomplished. He's already great. He's already done tremendous things. He's won a Super Bowl. One is hard to get. But we've had all of these things leading up to this point. And to your point, we knew Aaron Rodgers was going to get paid. We knew he was going to be the highest paid quarterback. We knew from Green Bay going on every medium talking about he's our guy. We want him. We waiting on Aaron Rodgers. We going to offer him. We flying to California, wherever the hell he at, to make sure that we can get this contract done. We're just waiting for Aaron to say he's coming back. We knew the money was coming. The legacy now, this is what it's about for Aaron Rodgers. You go get the big money. You've flamed the franchise, and then you've repaired some relationships. Give him credit for that. I also am glad that he got this done. I'm also glad he said that they were coming back, because if America was paying attention, S.A. and Molly Q, that is when things started to roll in Green Bay after Aaron Rodgers made that announcement. I did not understand why people was under this impression that the Green Bay Packers could go out and operate freely without knowing what Aaron Rodgers was going to do. That was the weirdest thing to me in the world. And now everything is flying off the shelf. They getting guys signed, he didn't want to be a part of a rebuild as well. When we talked about the $50 million annually, APY, we said, well, how are they going to make moves? And we understand the first year of this deal that Green Bay is saving some money. But what about next year? What if he don't win it this year and he's for a cap number of $50 million next year? And now you just have him and Devontae if this Devontae deal get done. There's a lot riding on Aaron Rodgers. It always has been from a playing standpoint. But now how we look at Aaron Rodgers' legacy in totality is going to be about these next 3 years and this $150 million guaranteed.
Absolutely. Game changer, difference maker right there. Marcus, we've got other major quarterback news this morning. Please sit tight. We'll be back with you in just a moment, but we need to get to the association right now because Steph Curry dropped 47 on his 34th birthday. Happy birthday to him in a win versus the Spurs. You know his birthday energy was ex-Draymond Green, making his much anticipated return. He hadn't played since January 9th. He was dealing with that back. He will be on a minutes restriction for now. Steve Kerr, having Draymond back, game changer, right?
The game changed immediately when he got out there in a lot of different ways. It changed for Steph right away as soon as Draymond got out there. I think he had an assist to him like 5 seconds in. The chessboard changes with Draymond out there with Steph.
We're going to make sure we do everything we can to stay healthy coming down the stretch. Not going to make any bonehead decisions trying to chase the 2 seed. Whether we're 2 seed or 3 seed, we're going to win a championship, so don't really matter.
Talking that talk. There she is, my girl, Monica McNutt, beautiful in green. Good morning. I'll start with you here, Monica.
Good morning.
Do you agree with Draymond saying that the Warriors are winning the chip this year?
Good morning, Molly. Good morning, Stephen A. And I do not agree with Draymond. You know where I've been when it comes to the West, and I'm still looking at the Phoenix Suns. Does Draymond Green drastically change the complexion and potential trajectory of this Warrior squad? For sure. I mean, we talk about point forwards. That's exactly what he is for this squad. I mean, the way that he maneuvered last night, obviously Steph played with so much joy and smiles. The fact that we got a chance to see all 3 of them back on the floor since, 20, who knows when, was a beautiful thing to see. But I just think that the Phoenix Suns, to me, are built on both sides of the basketball for a run-it-back type season. I just think that they've been that spectacular. And then I hope that Draymond is 100%. But I also, back injuries, the nature of back injuries is a little bit tricky. And so I certainly hope that he can stay healthy and get through the rest of the season. But no, I'm still leaning Phoenix Suns.
Monica McNutt, it's always good to see you. Let me get right to it. I'm not going to hold back because you ladies certainly don't hold it back with me. You, Molly, Kimberly, Mina, all of y'all. I'm getting on y'all right now. Monica, respectfully, I would say to you, your argument makes no sense. And here's the reason why I would say that. Because you specifically said, quote, does Draymond drastically change the trajectory of the Golden State Warriors? You said yes. Well, if that's the truth, I mean, what else does need to be said? It ain't like they fell off the wagon. It ain't like they're beyond the pale. They're still in position to capture the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, although Memphis might capture it. The reality of the situation is clear. We're assuming, because we all know injuries derail everything, okay? Where would Denver be if Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. were healthy? I mean, that's a legitimate question with the way Jokic is looking, okay? Which we'll get into later. So we understand that injuries change the trajectory of things. We get that. But we're saying all things being equal. That's CP3 healthy. That's Draymond Green healthy. That's Klay Thompson healthy. That's assuming James Wiseman is coming back this month like they said he is, and he'll be ready for the last month of the season into the postseason. We're saying all things being equal, who you rolling with? I'm saying the Warriors. Now, I'll confess this. Does Phoenix have me nervous? Sure they do. By the way, Draymond Green, love my brother Draymond. Happy to see him back. I hope he stays healthy. I'm praying he stays healthy because my championship prognostications for the Golden State Warriors is contingent on everybody, including Draymond Green,
very much
being healthy, no question. But he is not the Defensive Player of the Year. Draymond, get that out your head. You don't miss 32 games, and you are Defensive Player of the Year. That title is going to belong to Mikal Bridges of the Phoenix Suns. That's the Defensive Player of the Year. Let's get that out the way right now. There's nothing to talk about. This brother's special, okay? And he deserves our praise. He's getting it from me today. But when I look at the Phoenix Suns and I look at the Golden State Warriors, fully loaded and healthy with Klay, Steph on the court together, with Draymond, with Poole and Kuminga and all of those brothers that Draymond is going to be there to hold accountable, I'm rolling with the Warriors. The only team that Phoenix makes me a little nervous. I got to confess that. But Brooklyn healthy and on the court together makes me considerably nervous because Kyrie with KD on the court against those brothers with Ben Simmons and the crew, I would be worried, but I'm still rolling with the Warriors until further notice. I'm sorry, I'm not going against them with a healthy Draymond Green. I'm not doing it.
Stephen A., I understand your enthusiasm, and it could come down to a basket, potentially. This series is that tight, but I don't understand why it's only Brooklyn that gives you pause when we're talking about the Warriors. Let's just go Phoenix and Golden State. You mentioned all of the role guys and the three guys that have been to multiple championships and won the NBA, held the O'Brien Trophy.
Okay.
When I look at what the Phoenix Suns have been able to do, right? Like if we go 3-3, Draymond, Steph, and Klay, potentially, you're talking about Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and obviously probably DeAndre Ayton rounds out their big three. Mm-hmm. The size inside, to me, of Phoenix with their length, Ayton, you talk about Mikal Bridges, Johnson's playing good basketball. To me, they match up well with the Warriors in terms of the ability to defend. And then in terms of their systems, I'm not 100% sure why James Wiseman's name keeps coming up as somebody that's going to be a major difference maker in the potential Warriors run. And if he were, he'd still have to guard DeAndre Ayton at points in a series, which I don't think he has an advantage over.
You got minutes and 6 fouls.
Who I would argue, okay, fair. I would look at Chris Paul, who's having this opportunity to watch and allow the Phoenix Suns to grow. He's able to rest so that he can come back and make a push through a playoff run.
Stop
I don't understand why you act like it's.
I'm going to explain it to you. I'm ready to explain it to you, Monica. Eminem, come on now, Eminem. I'm ready to explain it to you.
Let's go.
Here's the deal.
Please educate me.
CP3 is phenomenal in his own right, okay? He's a floor general extraordinaire, and at the age of 36, arguably the best point guard in basketball is just a phenomenal accolade to throw on his shoulders. I get all of that. But if there's one person that could arguably be his kryptonite, it is Steph Curry. You know why? Because Steph Curry ain't trying to run the team. Steph Curry is pulling up from 40. That's a problem for CP3. It's a problem for anybody, but especially CP3, who's relatively undersized. That's what makes him. He's a pit bull. He's an ultra competitor. He's incredibly elite at what he does. He's a winner and a floor general orchestrator extraordinaire. We get all of that. But when going up against Steph Curry, who can pull up from the parking lot, it's a bit problematic for him. You look at Klay coming on. That's a bit problematic. We see the Jordan Pooles of the world and others that they have. We can't ignore the fact that Golden State is still a top 5 defensive team in the NBA, even playing 2.5 months without Draymond. So Draymond doesn't just elevate them offensively because he's a floor general in his own right that positions guys to get easier shots, which definitely helps. But he's also a guy that elevates your defense exceptionally so, not to mention the fact that, just watch him and basketball, Eminem, and how brothers holding people accountable goes a long way. So some of the slacking off or some of the slide that you see from the Golden State Warriors, that's not going to be apparent when Draymond Green is on the floor. I'm looking at all of those things. I'm not saying Phoenix doesn't match up with them. I'm not saying it's not going to be a thrilling series. I'm not saying it's not even going to go Game 7. But if I got to bet my money, I'm going to roll with Golden State. Where I get nervous is that it ain't even about Kyrie, who's exceptional offensively. It's about that damn Kevin Durant. There is no answer for Kevin Durant. Zero. There is no matchup in the NBA. You're either bigger and slower, You're too small, you're too short, you're not quick enough, something. Because this brother's offensive arsenal, okay, is just unmatched and unstoppable. And if I'm the Golden State Warriors and I got to go against that brother, I hope Steve Kerr and his coaching staff got a damn astute game plan for that, because I haven't seen anybody that got an answer for Kevin Durant. And that's where I'm coming from with it. That's just me.
Easy money sniper is absolutely a problem, and we just gonna have to agree to disagree on the Warriors and Suns. What we do agree on is it should be a.
I'll give you credit for this. I'll give you credit for this. You're not alone.
What's that?
I mean, Jalen and Will Bond and Big Perk on Christmas Day was swearing to me the Warriors are gonna lose. It didn't happen in Phoenix, and there's a reason for that.
Let's leave it there. Golden State and Memphis have the same record right now. Only the Phoenix Suns better. They're 7 games ahead, guys. Another NBA news, Karl Anthony Towns. Did you see him putting in work, dropping 60 last night in 17 rebounds in a win versus the Spurs, 32 alone in the third. The T-Wolves have quietly won 8 of their last 9. Meanwhile, after trailing by as many as 19, the Nuggets defeated the Sixers 114-110. Jokic recorded 22 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists in the victory. Joel Embiid led all scorers with 34, 9, and 4, while James Harden added 24, 9, and 11 in the losing effort. The Nuggets improved to 41 and 28 on the season. Jokic caught up with a familiar face after the game. Please check this out.
The MVP race is getting hot, it's getting tight. You continue to show up and put up spectacular numbers. Are you thinking about that one tonight when you play against a guy like Joel Embiid?
No, to be honest, I just talked to Joel, and we have the same comment sentence. As long as the big man wins, we're going to be fine.
That's my girl. Range all day, asking excellent questions. There she is. Swagoo back here with us. Good to see you. I will start with you, Monica. Who is the MVP?
Gosh, Molly, we've talked about this on the show a bunch, and it is definitely fluid. This morning, my MVP is Nikola Jokic. After that performance last night, guys, he got off to a little bit of a sluggish start, particularly in that first quarter, but it wasn't even so much about his scoring, although he did that in quite eye-bugging, eye-popping fashion. Those passes last night, I mean, to see them in person, the dimes that he delivered, I mean, and it's not just an assist, but it was the time with which he was finding guys when the Nuggets needed so desperately to close a lead. They got down as many as 19 last night. And so just his feel for the game, his presence, the way he energizes his squad. I was talking to some Nuggets players prior to the game, one in which Jeff Green, who is well-traveled in this league, and he talked about Jokic being the most easygoing, unselfish superstar that he's ever had the opportunity to play alongside. So right now, the 56 double-doubles this season, like, the numbers speak for themselves. I'm going with Nikola Jokic at this moment.
Okay. Marcus, show me your versatility. You can hoop. Tell us. Who you got?
I'm going Joel. I'm going Joel because I think Joel can get a bucket anytime in a basketball game. And look, Jokic and the way he passes the basketball changes the dynamic when we have this conversation because they're not asked to do the same thing. But I see ability, and the ability of Joel Embiid to me is up there as far as talent with any big man that's ever played the game and stepping out to three-point range and being consistent over 30% from behind the line. I understand why this is such a hard argument because these guys do different things for their basketball team. But I'm telling y'all right now, if I got to take a big man first and I have to start a team and build it around him, it'll be Joel Embiid for me. Because I think he's an unstoppable force. Jokic, at times, to me, is a little slow, a little lethargic, and when you get to the offensive end of the floor, Joel Embiid is the guy that you and Stephen A. would take. Stop playing, Monica and Essa.
Well, Marcus, here's why you're so flagrantly wrong. Because you didn't answer the question. The point is, we didn't ask a question about. I would prefer Embiid too, because I understand that as a talent, this brother might. I mean, as a talent from the big man position.
I just assume we force smart people on first take, and the guy I talk about is the guy I choose for the MVP.
Hold on. Watch Odd Couple. You understand Felix Unger, Oscar Madison from back in the day, and when you assume Okay, you make an ass out of you and me. Okay, that's what it means.
Or you.
And so the point is that you
Joel
didn't answer the question. The point that I'm trying to make to you is this: Embiid as the big man we would prefer. I'm totally with you 100%. I got that. That doesn't have much to do with the discussion right now about who is the league MVP. You're talking about Jokic averaging 26, 13, and 8. Shooting 57% from the field, over 35% from three-point range. The brother is 41 and 28. There is no Jamal Murray. There is no Michael Porter Jr. He can't jump onto a curb, okay?
Yep.
He can't jump from the street to the curb, and no one can stop him. It's unbelievable. Nobody can stop him. And then it gets better. It gets better, Marcus. This is where we got, because I had Joel Embiid weeks ago. Well, guess what? Matchups matter. And they trade for Harden. Before Harden arrives, they're down by 50 to Boston. 50 in Philly. Harden arrives. Big time game against Brooklyn. You get smoked by 29. Last night, you go up against Jokic. Y'all in the playoff picture together. It's a 5-horse race. It's Jokic. It's Embiid. It's DeMar DeRozan. It's Giannis. It's Ja Morant. What happens? You up 19, and the brother comes back on you. What I'm saying to you is this. As a person who has a vote, I vote, and I'm telling you, this matters. I'm looking at moments. I'm not saying that one is better than the other or whatever. I mean, everybody, you pick your poison because they're both elite. But when you're talking about a stretch run with the playoffs down the pike, and you got an opportunity in these big moments, you are Joel Embiid, and you don't get it done, I got to hold that against you for the MVP vote. I'm not saying you ain't a superstar. I'm not saying you're not big time. I'm not saying I don't love you. I'm saying I can't give it to you over Jokic when Jokic closes the deal in these big games and you haven't.
So my question is this. We just watched the game last night.
Yeah.
All right. What do you disseminate between both of these guys we talking about MVP? Holland was the best player for Denver last night. So let me just answer your question since I didn't answer the question. Joel Embiid would be my MVP. That's the answer. I thought going off for 3 minutes talking about him would clearly show you that Joel Embiid was my MVP and the guy out of these two. But ultimately, I understand what you're saying, S.A. I 100% agree. But before James Harden got there, who was leading in the MVP voting?
But
he was.
The race is so
But it was tight,
now.
Marcus.
Now.
It was tight.
Yeah.
Are y'all looking at these same stats I'm looking at on TV right now?
Yes.
Did Joel Embiid do enough for his team to win the basketball game?
Yes. But
So
what? Time out.
Actually,
but
no.
So did
I'm
Jokic.
gonna answer no.
But so did Jokic.
34.
And the difference is he won and they lost. And he showed up. And then he showed up. And even in big games against Golden State and others, he showed up. What I'm saying to you is, as the race tightened, those losses matter.
These games matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Listen up, y'all. We'll have much more on this later. Monica, you were asking the questions last night. I have more for you in just a minute. So you sit tight. We'll come back to you after the break. But I have a football subject I want to get into with you.
The jacket is pretty fly.
Thank you.
You know, I got to give.
Yeah, I got the.
It looks like a little corduroy joint working for you. It is fly, but we do know. We got on the fly blazer today.
You didn't have to do that.
I mean, I'm just saying.
You didn't have to do that.
We do know.
You
That
could have
is
left
a
it at
commercial
Molly.
coming up. What's
And
going
Jack
on?
is
Yeah, you
looking
know what? He's
phenomenal.
growing in the fact that he complimented me, but yeah, he still he still has to be Stephen A.
I just thought it was important to throw that out.
Okay.
Let's go.
Thank you. Yes, I'm trying to wear my winter outfits one more time. You guys know how it is. All right, Monica will be back. Let's get to back. Mitchell Trubisky plans to sign a 2-year contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, Stephen A., you've got a quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky. This is incredible. The deal's worth $14.25 million. He's got a maximum value of $27 million with incentives. Trubisky said his decision came down to the Steelers and the New York Giants. That's great. He chose your Steelers. Meanwhile, the Cleveland Browns have interest in Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, and according to multiple reports, will sit down with him today in Houston. It's going to be a very busy day for Watson, as he will also be questioned by lawyer Tony Busby in the 22 civil actions pending against him, despite Despite the looming deposition, Watson met with the Saints and Panthers on Monday. Those meetings also taking place in Texas. The NFL still could suspend Watson for violating the league's personal code of conduct policy. Marcus, I'll start with you here. What team do you think is the best fit for Deshaun Watson?
It would be the Carolina Panthers. And I would never start this conversation without talking about 22 civil lawsuits. Like, I understand where we will get to football-wise, but that is a part of football. That's a part of the decision-making process. And the NFL is really under a microscope. Regardless of what transpires when it comes to a trade or a team acquiring Deshaun Watson, the NFL just gave Calvin really a year for $1,500 gambling. And I understand these incidences are two totally different things in two totally different realms. But there will be a lot to say about how the NFL is going to handle things moving forward based on the information that comes out after the Deshaun Watson off the field takes what it needs to take in order to be resolved. Now, on the field, for me, Carolina Panthers. One, familiarity, right? Went to Clemson, right down the street, understands that area. A lot of people know him, a lot of home base. He's going to need a lot of support coming into stadiums in the NFL, I'm sure. But not only that, when you look at this football team with DJ Moore, when you think about, I know they shopping Christian McCaffrey. If you get Deshaun Watson, that may change. A young defense that played well. They lost the key piece, but I think they played well this year. And then, too, y'all, look at this division. The Saints don't have a quarterback, not right now. I know Tom just came back, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got a lot of things to do in order to solidify that roster. And then when we look at the Atlanta Falcons, we know that that's a franchise in flux trying to figure out who they are identity-wise, Matt Ryan. So Deshaun Watson in Carolina, to me, would make all the sense in the world. Background, his ability, and what they have as a football team offensively to help make them a better football team. And we know Deshaun Watson will make people contenders that we don't consider contenders right now, but Carolina, because of that familiarity, being down the road in Clemson for 4 years.
I haven't gotten over for the fact that the Pittsburgh Steelers got Mitchell Trubisky. I'm trying to recover from that. We all know I'm a Steelers fan, and we know I'm no fan of Trubisky. It's not a scrub. He just doesn't move me.
I ain't getting that big.
I ain't
getting that.
It's hard.
Extend the Steelers.
Do you want a jersey? I could get you that, and maybe you could ingratiate yourself a little more with your new quarterback, get you excited.
We know your Giants are trash, so I'm not going to even get into that. But
Daniel Jones, Trubisky, we're in the same class now.
Well, I will say this: Trubisky is 29-21 as a starter, and he did take a team coached by Matt Nagy to 2 playoff appearances.
Stephen A.
So we can't ignore that.
He's better than the guys on that roster.
And exactly. He's definitely better. He's definitely better than Mason Rudolph. And Dwayne Haskins, I know you got a $2.5 million offer. You might want to start looking for a new career. I mean, you can't get ahead of Mason Rudolph in the NFL. I mean, the quarterbacking is not a part of your future, Dwayne Haskins. I mean, you can't beat out Mason Rudolph and now Mitchell Trubisky. I just don't even know what to say to you.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Well, I just did.
I know that I know what the situation is with Haskins in Pittsburgh, but we got to understand that Mason Rudolph was there before he got there. He played. It's familiarity. All right, so it's more than just saying he ain't better than Mason Rudolph.
First of all, don't interrupt me to make that point, because you know better than I do. You know better than I do that in the NFL, it's about what have you done for me lately and whether or not you can produce. They don't give a damn that Mason Rudolph has been there. What they're looking at is who do we have who gives us the best chance to win? Yep. They clearly believe Mason Rudolph gives them a better chance to win than Dwayne Haskins. So let's stop that, okay? Let's just call it what it is. Secondly, and more importantly, when we look at Trubisky, I will say this.
Yeah.
He is a damn good athlete. He can run with the football, which is something Big Ben Roethlisberger could not do.
Yeah.
So the fact that he could move the chains with his feet, I think goes a long way. And I do believe that Trubisky is a decent replacement to the Ben Roethlisberger we last saw.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the Hall of Fame Ben Roethlisberger. I'm talking about the 39-year-old immobile quarterback we just saw behind center for the Pittsburgh Steelers this past season. So in light of that, it's fine. It's just that when I look at the Steelers defense and I look at Najee Harris and I look at Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson and James Washington and these boys, I'm saying to myself, damn, you get a good quarterback. You get a Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, you.
Oh, yeah.
Contender.
Oh, yeah. It's Super Bowl contender status immediately. And to not, I mean, when I think about Deshaun Watson, I don't give a damn that they just signed Mitchell Trubisky. I say still go after Deshaun Watson. I say still go after him. I don't give a damn. I mean, that's how desperate I am. That's how desperate I am. I don't care at all. I don't care at all that Mitchell Trubisky got 2 years. I could care less. If you could get Deshaun Watson in Pittsburgh would be lovely. We know it ain't going to happen, but can I dream? Can I fantasize? Because, damn it, that's what I would want. Yeah. I want the Steelers to have a quarterback, okay? Just not somebody playing a position, an actual bona fide, legitimate quarterback. I
think Mitchell Trubisky fits in Pittsburgh, man. I think he fits. I really do.
I think so too. And you know what I love?
Marcus don't mean that.
People are turning on First Take and you're defending Trubisky. I love that. It's a new day here.
Listen. Hold on. Defending him to what degree? I mean, I don't think that I'm that flagrant with defending him.
You gave some good stats on him.
I gave some good numbers. I gave some good numbers. I just peeled it all. Oh, my Lord.
All of these guys. Make the best out of it.
I actually thought that Trubisky would be on NFL Live. I didn't think he'd be on an NFL field, but that's just
cool.
me.
It's cool. You got your Knicks. You're doing well. I don't want to hear anything from you anymore. Coming up on First Take, free age 46 years as head coach of Syracuse, Boeheim has 35 NCAA tournament appearances, second among active coaches behind only Coach K, along with total games and wins. He led the program to their only title in 2003. Meanwhile, to the NFL we go now. Colin Kaepernick made headlines on March 10th when he shared a video on Twitter where he let the world know that he's still working and would like to make a comeback. It's been more than 5 years since Colin Kaepernick has thrown a pass to an NFL receiver, but that changed yesterday. After tweeting out, "I miss throwing to professional route runners. Who's working? I will pull up. We'll ask and you shall receive." Cap's tweet caught the attention of Seahawks receiver Tyler Lockett. The two had a throwing session yesterday, and it looks like it went well. The former Niners quarterback and social activist tweeting this: "Great work today, TD Lockett. It felt great being out there with you. Thanks for everyone who tapped in via stream with us. The full video of the workout will be posted tomorrow. Looking forward to doing it again. Who else is working? Pull up." All right, to Marcus Spears back here with us. And Stephen A., I'll start with you. Do you think now is the time for a team to sign Kaepernick?
It's been time for a team to sign Kaepernick. Years. It ain't going to happen. You can throw all the passes you want. You can get all the NFL wide receivers you want out there. It ain't going to happen. This is what I was talking about. Have I lied yet, Marcus? All of these folks were talking. And I said, when he didn't show up for that workout in Atlanta, organized by the National Football League, you were done. Period. Everybody want to sit up there and everybody want to get upset, continue to get upset. This is what happened. Colin Kaepernick was blackballed. Unfairly, I might add, even though blackball in itself is being unfair. He should have been in the league years ago. He should have never been exiled from the National Football League. He never violated the NFL rules. He was free to take a knee if he so chose. He did so respectfully. He didn't impede the game in any way. He certainly exercised his right as an American citizen. We all know this. And thousands upon thousands of American soldiers would vouch for Colin Kaepernick. The NFL didn't care. They sat up there and said, we don't want to touch this man. He was going to be out the league anyway. Jay-Z is one of the people that was in the mix communicating with owners along with various others. I know that I spoke up about it publicly and privately to NFL personnel. What happens? I meet his lady. They want to try for 18. Well, guess what? Every team was scared to touch him. Put me up on the screen. I want America to see me when I say this stuff. We said, hey, Colin Kaepernick should be playing. The teams did not want to touch him for a workout because they were scared, if they didn't want him swaggle, that he could sit up there and accuse them of racism. So the NFL stepped in and they said, okay, for the first time in the league's history, we're going to conduct a private workout for this player. One team didn't show up. 5 teams didn't show up. 10 teams didn't show up. 26 teams showed up. Black personnel for 18 of those teams, according to the reports. And you decided, because of a waiver that you didn't want to sign, you were not going to show up, and as a result, conducted your own workout at a high school field with receivers we didn't know. Instead of using the Atlanta Falcons facilities, all their video equipment, and everything else. And at that moment, I said, he's done. They're not going to give him another chance. Because at the end of the day, you're so dogged about how you want to do it, they said, we're going to move on without you. How have the NFL ratings been without Colin Kaepernick? It's a facetious question, because we all know the answer to that. Marcus, put Marcus back up on the screen so I can see him, please. How are those ratings for the NFL
Very good
season? What about the season before that?
Very good.
What about the season before that?
It's the
What
NFL.
about the season before that? It's been 6 years. If Tom Brady was gone for 6 years, he'd have a hard time getting a chance because he's been going 6 years. And this is the National Football League. This is what I said. And because we say, Marcus, be very careful about what you say, Marcus, because you see, we agree with 99% of what Colin Kaepernick has said and done. We agree with 99% of how Eric Reed feels. We agree, but that 1%, Marcus, that we might disagree in terms of how you elected to handle it, brace yourself, you're about to be called a sellout. You're about to be called a coon. You're about to be called all of that, because God forbid, as grown men, that we think for ourselves and say, you know what, we agree with you, but damn, bro, you might have wanted to handle this portion just a touch differently. God forbid we do that. This is what it is. Colin Kaepernick can have all the workouts he wants. I'm never going to say never, because anything can happen, and we pray that it will, because I want the brother back in the league, because I want him to show I still don't believe that 64 quarterbacks better than Colin Kaepernick. But we all know he ain't gone because of football. He gone because of something else. He knew that too, and still elected not to show up when we would have had the video. It would have got leaked out to the public. We would have seen for ourselves. The world was transfixed on watching you show yourself in front of those NFL personnel. Yep. And you declined. You wanted to buck the system. This is the price. He ain't coming back in the league, in my estimation. All of this is smoke and mirrors, because they ain't going to sign him. If they do, I will be ecstatic for him, because he deserves to be back in the league. I don't believe it's going to happen.
What you initially said is it's been time, and from a football context, absolutely, it's been time. And we don't have to believe that it's not 64 quarterbacks better than Colin Kaepernick. It ain't 64 quarterbacks better. It ain't 32 that's better than Colin Kaepernick. And to your point, Stephen A., like, I'm glad you said what you said, because the elephant in the room is this. It ain't about football, all right? Now, you and I don't 100% agree on the tryout, the workout, right? Because you and I had this conversation beyond television, and I said, Stephen A., Colin Kaepernick, his team decided that we want to feel like this is an equal opportunity for him and the league. And we know the league, and I'm going to tell you, Stephen A., I love the NFL. NFL is the best thing going when it comes to sports, when it comes to sagas and all of the things. NBA close. But the NFL is one of those things where you know what apple cart you upset that's going to keep you out. And we all knew that Colin, I said this when it happened. When Colin Kaepernick and the NFL started going back and forth, I said when it happened that they are going to use this man as an example for standing up for something right. And that's what is happening. And two, let me get to this point, because we had this conversation. This is about owners. All right? This is another situation where we can stop saying the league and the NFL. This is owners. If you had 3 owners that acknowledged Colin Kaepernick was a better quarterback than the guys on their squad, and they had the gumption to sign him and deal with what may come, especially the time that we living in right now, we've had that conversation as well. He would have a job.
Hold on. Marcus, I got to push back on that. At this point right now, I get it, 100%, and it was about owners 5 years ago. Do you still think it's about owners now, or it's that he hasn't played in 5 years?
Molly, let me ask you a question, all right? I'm not talking about this particular time. I'm talking about the whole timeline leading up to it. And we keep saying the NFL. We keep saying the league.
No, the owners. But that's what I'm saying. I 100% agree with you. I believe he was blackballed. I believe he should have played. But now I'm wondering, is it more of a football decision than it is even the owners deciding to keep him out of the league? Because how difficult is it to not play at the quarterback position for 5 years than to compete in the National Football League, which isn't his fault because they kept him out. But it just is what it is at this point.
Absolutely. But it's also a manifestation of a plan. All right? We're not going to sit on here and because when you and me and SA get together, we tell the truth, just like he just did, from a different perspective. This is a manifestation of saying we will time him out.
Yeah.
That is what this is. And we have this conversation every year.
But wait a minute. I agree with you. No problem with that. But what we have to do is look at Kaepernick and throw some culpability in his. And I'm not saying you're not doing that. We're just talking to a national audience, Marcus.
Right.
I'm not disagreeing with you. We're just talking to a national audience. The culpability is on his shoulders, and let me explain why. So Marcus Spears is in a contract negotiation, and you call your boy.
Yep.
And what we talk about. We talk about the forest from the trees. We talk about big picture. We talk about what you got to swallow in order to get what you will. Molly, the same thing. Me, the same thing. Anybody else, the same thing. We talk about it. So what happened with Kaepernick is, it's my way. This is what I want. This is what I believe. And I'm not maneuvering my way around this by any way. By the way, I want to be a part of your product. Don't work that way. We didn't disagree. We didn't disagree with him. We all agreed with him. We know he's been blackballed. We know it's been wrong. But when he had the opportunity to sit up there, regardless of the waiver, when you had the opportunity, because the world was aware of the workout. See, that's what everybody's missing here. The world was aware of the workout. We were all had our eyes transfixed on it. And all he had to do was show up. I was told the brother would have to throw it in the stands. This is a quote. He would have to throw it into the stands to not have a job in the NFL within 2 weeks.
And say, hold on, though. Hold on. See, this is where me and you run into our issue with this conversation. Sure. Because I know for a fact, you being one of my mentors, that there are things you are willing to accept and not willing to accept.
Sure.
Whether you in a contract negotiation, whether you're doing an interview or anything. And I just cannot agree with you that this wasn't a PR plan from the NFL. I said it when you and I sat on the show, S.A. This was a sham workout, man.
No, time.
Yeah.
We have to revisit this in the second hour. The only point that I'm going to make is this. You're thinking that I disagree with you. That's not what I'm saying. I reported that portion. I didn't give you an opinion.
Right.
I reported what was told to me. So what I'm saying to you is that that's what they're saying. Now, whether we believe them or not is another issue. But the fact that they said it and all of us were watching put immense pressure on them had he shown up, is my belief.
Yeah, but
we can
hold on. No. We're coming back to it, actually, because we got to look at the stipulations with the waiver as well. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back right with Marcus Spears. We've got plenty more on this subject and much more football to get into in just a bit as well, like Mahomes, Russ, Herbert, Carr. The AFC West is low. Rodgers has signed his contract with the Green Bay Packers. He will make about $150 million in guaranteed money over the first 3 years of his new deal with the Green Bay Packers. That, according to a copy of the contract obtained by ESPN, due to the allocation of bonus money In the first year of the deal, the Packers will actually save close to $18 million against their salary cap for 2022. Stephen A., your boy's making $150 million in guaranteed. Are you happy?
I don't care.
Oh.
He deserves it.
Hey, good talk.
I have no problem with Aaron Rodgers getting the money at all. He absolutely deserves it, but I don't give a damn.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers is going 12 years without hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, or 11 years without hosting the Lombardi Trophy. That's the number one thing that I'm interested in. And number two, get Davante Adams his money. Mm-hmm. You know, that brother has been balling. 3 of the last 4 years, he's had a minimum of 111 receptions for 1,300 plus yards. The brother has been balling. He has everything to do with the fact that you've been a reigning two-time league. You are a reigning two-time league MVP. Get that brother his money, okay? And then, all right, we'll see what you do next year.
Hey, Marcus, can I call an audible here instead of you reacting to the money? Could you tell me this? Now that we heard Tommy Brady's coming back, who do you think has a better shot to win the division? Would you say it's Rodgers and the Packers or Tom Brady and the Bucs next season?
Well, don't forget about the Los Angeles Rams and Matthew Stafford either.
Yeah.
But between them two, I would go to Aaron Rodgers because of what Tampa may have to give up. You know, they had a lot of free agents. Tampa had 22 free agents, and they brought everybody back, and they tried to run it back. That's not going to be the case this year. So we got to figure out what's going to happen with Tampa. They just lost 2 of their guards, which is important to what Tom Brady does. But on the Aaron Rodgers thing, like, I'm not listen clearly before everybody think I'm comparing these two. I got a question for USA. What will Matthew Stafford's legacy be?
Well, Matthew Stafford is now a Super Bowl champion.
Okay.
So I think that's what the legacy is going to be.
There you go. And a team traded picks for him. They bet the house on him. That's what Green Bay has just done.
And he delivered.
That's what Green Bay has just done with Aaron Rodgers. And we know Aaron Rodgers is great. Anybody that watched this show, they know how good Aaron Rodgers is based on how you talk about him. His legacy will be determined because we don't hold Aaron Rodgers in the realm of a guy that just wins 1 Super Bowl. I know it's unfortunate, but he played his way beyond that because he is so good at playing the position. His legacy will be determined in these next 3 years. I won't say determined. This will be a large portion of how we think about Aaron Rodgers when he hangs up his cleats. I think he can get it done, S.A. I think he's going to get an opportunity to get to a Super Bowl and win a championship. But if he don't, we're going to be having a totally different conversation about Aaron Rodgers and this tenure and this saga with Green Bay. Last point about this. The reason why it's so profound what both of us have just said about him is because the reality of the situation is Aaron Rodgers had a past for many years. Yes. When Mike McCarthy was coaching the football team, we looked at the defense or lack thereof, and we saw how he was bereft of weapons. Yeah, you had Jordy Nelson, but you could have had other dudes and stuff like that. And we looked at it and we said, it ain't Aaron Rodgers' fault. It ain't Aaron Rodgers' fault. It ain't Aaron Rodgers' fault. Well, this time we saying it's his fault. When you score 10 points on your home field, I don't give a damn if it was an ice storm. I don't give a damn if it was the fog bowl from the days in Chicago. I don't care what it is. You cannot be Aaron Rodgers with Davante Adams, Aaron Jones, Dillon, and all of these brothers and score 10 points in a divisional playoff game after you had a bye week and San Francisco did it because they had to beat up on the Cowboys. You cannot turn around and have just 10 points. You can't do that. Can't do it.
So this is on them.
Yeah. Let's go to the AFC, guys. The AFC West has become a gauntlet of a division in the NFL this offseason, right? With teams making big moves, things obviously got started with the Russell Wilson trade to Denver, while the rest have looked to bolster their defenses in recent days, including the Chargers, adding Khalil Mack to that already impressive defensive line. Stephen A., does the AFC West still run through Patrick Mahomes when you're looking at the quarterbacks that we have in this division now?
Until further notice, I would say yes. I'm fully aware of the fact that the Cincinnati Bengals beat them in the AFC Championship game. I'm fully aware of the fact that Buffalo should have beaten them because Josh Allen did deliver a touchdown with 13 seconds left, and for some reason, Buffalo's defense couldn't prevent Patrick Mahomes and them from getting in the field goal range in 13 seconds. Dallas Cowboys couldn't get off a snap in 14 seconds, but Kansas City could drive down the field in 13 seconds. Eat on that one. That'll make no damn sense.
Hey, can you stop? That's two Cowboy references that we did not need.
It's just the truth. It's just the truth, okay? It's just the truth. But I'm telling you this. In the AFC West, somehow, some way, no matter what the Las Vegas Raiders do, no matter what the Denver Broncos do, no matter what the Chargers do, somehow, some way, at least in recent memory, Kansas City continues to find a way. Now, there's Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, and Derek Carr, who finally got the Raiders to the playoffs to deal with, and I get that. And I'm not saying they're going to win every game within the division. I'm just saying Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes is still that dude. Travis Kelce's still that dude. Tyreek Hill is still that dude when it comes to going up against the AFC West.
Yeah.
And until further notice, I'm just going to stick with Kansas City for the time being, even though I'm a huge Justin Herbert fan, and I love SoFi. It is a special stadium. It really is.
All right, here we go. Here we go. And it's about to go stupid on my mentions. Los Angeles Chargers. I think these moves that they made put them squarely in the number one spot. Really? J.C. Jackson, man. Stephen A., I talked about this on SportsCenter almost a day or two after the Super Bowl. And their number one target should have been a lockdown corner, and they got him. I did not see them getting Khalil Mack. And let me put America on notice. If you don't think we gonna see a different Khalil Mack than we saw in Chicago, with an opportunity to win a championship, and Stephen A., you've been covering this game longer than I've been around. You know what a change of scenery and a different opportunity does for particular players. It ain't like we talking about Khalil Mack ain't still good. We just gonna see Khalil Mack go back to that level we saw him when he was with the Oakland Raiders. Across from Bosa and sneaky.
Oh, yes.
They signed a guy by the name of Sebastian Joseph Day from the Los Angeles Rams because their issue was trying to stop the run. Well, they made a plan to get that done too.
Let's pause for a second. Is the Mac Daddy Khalil Mack? You ain't got to convince me. I know he was contaminated by what was transpiring in Chicago. Okay,
yeah.
And J.C. Jackson is that dude. The brother's special. I like him a lot.
Don't forget Derwin James over there.
But that's absolutely.
Don't forget.
Now, Derwin James, no question about it. But I'm just talking about Sebastian for a second. Let's understand the importance of this brother, how smooth he is. He said, I ain't leaving L.A.
I ain't leaving
L.A. I'm going to be right here. I'm going to be right here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it don't make no difference to me. I ain't got to change the address. Yeah. I ain't got to change. The weather conditions don't change. My wardrobe don't have to change. Yeah. Nothing. I'm good. That's a beautiful move on his part.
For sure.
That's a beautiful move. From L.A. to L.A. to the same stadium.
Wait, Marcus.
That's why when y'all start spending all that time in L.A., please call me.
Yes.
Please call me so I can
you
come out there.
You can come in studio whenever you want to come in studio. Anytime you're on the show.
I'll give you a call. I have my people call your people.
Okay. Wait, hold on. Before we end this conversation, I have another football question for you, Marcus. And I understand you're the analyst. I'm just the fan. You played nearly a decade in the league.
Stop playing. You know football.
No. But I'm serious. I still would have went Chiefs, but then I would have went the Broncos next. Mm-hmm. So why did you just skip the Broncos? Tell me, because you educated me on. I should have picked the Rams. I should have went Aaron Donald. No, you didn't just tell me why. You didn't tell me why not the Broncos. Daddy? No. But I want to know why he's not high on the Broncos, getting Russell Wilson.
I am high on the Broncos. Don't get me wrong. I think the reason why we having this conversation in March is because we know what this division is going to look like week in and week out. I'm going with one. Staley better stop going for it on fourth down every time it's a fourth down. The Los Angeles Chargers would have been a playoff team last year if he wouldn't have had. I understand analytics, and I know Mina gonna text me and curse me out, but ultimately I think it cost them an opportunity to get into the playoffs. We saw Justin Herbert go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. They just didn't have enough on the defensive side of the football. Y'all, I cannot reiterate enough how big J.C. Jackson coming to Los Angeles is.
Okay.
I can't reiterate it enough. It changes the dynamic of this division.
I have to interrupt you because we have other LA matters to get to.
What?
We need to make sure we don't run out of time. Go ahead, Mom.
Oh, I thought you got a text
No, we
or
have
something.
we have other
I
LA
thought you
matters
went like
to get
inside
to.
You gotta
something
get to
else.
that
I got something to say.
You want to talk about?
I got something to
Let
say.
me guess. Do you want to talk about LeBron James?
It ain't gonna be about LeBron. It ain't gonna be about
All
LeBron.
right. We'll get in a break.
Right.
Marcus, you didn't tell me anything about Denver. You're still stuck on the Chargers. It's okay. Next time. Still ahead. Should LeBron shut it down? You're so excited about the Chargers. Could the Lakers miss the play-in tournament? What? We answer all those questions and more on the Purple and Gold. With that big three show have now lost 11 of their last 14 games and are in jeopardy of missing the playoffs altogether. LeBron and the Lakers started poorly, ended poorly, and were down as much as 24 points in the first quarter. Here's Frank Vogel on that rough start.
Just another slow start, second game in a row, and really during this stretch there's been one quarter, it's been the second quarter, the third quarter, last two games have been the first quarter. I just can't put the ball in the basket, and when you're not making shots and they're getting a live rebound or a turnover, live ball turnover, it's tough to set your defense. So I think our effort was good to start, but like I said, our offense is putting us in a tough spot.
There she is, Monica, back here with us. Good to see you. You were missed for like the last 30 minutes, so I'm just happy that you're back. That's good. Do you have a new jacket on, by the way?
I do. I wanted to be in the family photo, so I just
you did a wardrobe change? Oh my goodness. I'm here for all of it. Stephen A will compliment you, and then he'll compliment himself after. I can save him from doing that. Okay, he looks angry.
My mind is on this. I'm ready to hit this one right here.
Okay, I'm looking at you. Okay. LeBron's playing a lot of minutes, and they keep losing, Stephen A. Is it time to sit LeBron?
No. It's time for something else. Monica, I take no pleasure in saying this. It's time for Frank Vogel to go. He has to go as head coach of this franchise. It's time to put him out of his misery. It's time to put LeBron James out of his misery. It's not that they're losing. If you're scratching and clawing, it's nip and tuck, but we're able to point to injuries, that would be different. That's not what's going on here with the Los Angeles Lakers. We're seeing a level of inefficiency, a level of ineptitude, a lack of spirit. It's like these guys don't know what it means to be Lakers. It's Frank Vogel's responsibility to overcome that. It's not his fault, ladies and gentlemen, as it pertains to this roster and the position that they put him in. I'm not saying that Frank Vogel doesn't deserve to be a head coach in the National Basketball Association. But I've seen coaches facing arduous circumstances with a roster that performed much better than he's done as a coach. LeBron James is your star. You can lose games. You don't have to be 10 games under 500. You don't have to give up 48 points in the first quarter and then follow that up by getting outscored 26-4 to start a game. There's no spirit. There's no enthusiasm. There is nothing. The Lakers are a shell of themselves. At this particular moment in time, it's embarrassing to watch this team. My man Michael Wilbon for PTI, it's gotten to a point where we've had to restrain Michael Wilbon, one of the nicest guys on the planet.
He's the best.
We've had to restrain him from saying stuff that ain't suitable for FCC airwaves. We got the veteran, the Godfather. We got to coach him to restrain from going the hell off because he has a problem with the Lakers being on national television. Michael Wilbon, the nicest guy in the business. This dude doesn't even believe the Lakers deserve to be on national TV. I'm talking the NBA package. He doesn't believe they deserve to be a part of that. That's how atrocious they have been. Frank Vogel doesn't play. What's your job? You got to figure it out, bro. And what I mean by that, Eminem, you're the 27th ranked defense in points allowed. The reason Frank Vogel is a coach is because his signature is defense. He was an outstanding coach in Indiana because they were one of the elite defensive teams. The Lakers last year were number 1. They're like now at 18th or 19th in defensive efficiency and 27th in points allowed. It is a horror show. And every day that, even though I don't believe that LeBron should sit down because he's a part of this mess because he wanted Russell Westbrook, you do have people upstairs with Phil Jackson paying a visit these days, bad hips and all. This brother sitting up there, and you're hearing that, it ain't really Russell Westbrook's fault. It's a mess. You got management blaming coaches. You got players blaming coaches. You got coaches blaming management. It's a mess. Just a mess. Frank Vogel has to go because most of those players going to be back next year. And if you couldn't coach them this year, what the hell are you going to do next year? That's where I'm at. I'm sorry. I like a man. I think he deserves to be a head coach. I'm not saying get rid of him because he's terrible. I'm saying this situation is too excruciating to stomach any longer. They still got a shot at the play-in. Frank Vogel got to go, Eminem. He's got to go. Put him out of his misery is what I'm saying. Put him out of his misery.
Yeah. I don't think you're wrong. And the most important part of what you just said is that the Lakers are in a tough spot in that this roster probably doesn't change much next year. It's unfortunate because it is not Frank Vogel's fault in my mind when you have the opportunity to play alongside, or to coach rather, a guy named LeBron James who just recently created a whole separate category for himself in the NBA in terms of what he's accomplished, reaching the 10,000 mark in 3 categories. It would seem that competitive interest and enthusiasm would be something that you would not question. But there is no doubt that the Lakers are in utter despair. Every time they come across TV, I'm like, this legitimately looks like an SNL skit. A mess. And so I understand where you're coming from, but in the here and now, if management, and assuming that Frank Vogel didn't become the Lakers head coach without the blessing of the star that we just mentioned, to me, I don't know if it's a better play, but to the question of whether or not LeBron should sit the rest of the season, I am inclined to say yes, because whether Frank Vogel is still a part of the Lakers organization next year or not, LeBron James has been honest about wanting to finish his career there, and therefore, at this point, we're not even dealing with this year's play-in. Should we win 2 games in the play-in and they get bounced in the first round series, okay, so what? We're now talking about the opportunity to put the Lakers back where Lakers fans and that organization and LeBron James expects them to be in terms of a team that is competing for winning real and meaningful games. And so if that happens to Vogel, whether that does or doesn't, I still think that LeBron James should sit he should rest the rest of the season because it's all for naught. What are you doing?
To be continued. Not that I'd ever wish injuries on anybody, but you never know what could happen. It's like, you never know. All right, we got to leave it there. Well, plenty more on the Lakers in future days, guys. Coming up, legendary college basketball.
Set it up. 3 seconds to go. We're going to get a shot here. 5 seconds.
Later catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Suggs, long 3 for the win. Makes it home! The Cinderella team has done it! It's gone! Jenkins with the dream shot. It's our destiny.
Stuff like this is something that you dream of as a kid.
March Madness, who better to get us ready for all of it than the legendary coach of Syracuse University, the one and only Jim Boeheim. Jim, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Hey, it's great because somebody wants me. Nobody up in Syracuse wants me with them.
We want you here. We'll keep you as long as you'll let us have you. Let me ask you this, Coach, before we get into the tournament. I'm just curious. So growing up here in the Northeast, I grew up on Big East basketball. Obviously, I know you guys are in the ACC now, and I've just seen you in so many epic battles continuously. What coach and program, past or present, was your favorite to just battle it out and compete against?
Well, there's only one, John Thompson in Georgetown. We had some epic games, both in the Garden with the Big East tournament and, of course, in our home gyms. John was bigger than life, and his teams always gave you everything they had, and my teams always have given me everything they had. So we had some epic battles, and they'll always be number one in my mind.
Same here, Coach. I grew up loving growing up in Hollis, Queens. I mean, the Big East was everything to me. I've never quite gravitated towards you guys being a part of the ACC, but that's a story for another day. You've been in the NCAA tournament 3 times over the last 5 years. This season, however, was not one of them. Put into perspective what happened to you guys this year. Your son, Buddy, was the leading scorer, had a pretty good season, but ultimately y'all didn't make the NCAA tournament. What happened?
Well, both my sons played well. Offensively, we were 16th in the country in efficiency, which is unheard of for a team that doesn't make the NCAA tournament. The reason we didn't, we were 290 in defense, which is something we pride ourselves on. Our defense just wasn't good enough. We started out the year very poorly. Then we started playing well. We won 4 in a row, and we're on our way, and our center got hurt and missed the rest of the year. That ended the chances we had of getting in the tournament. We played as well as we could without him, but we were just, we lost 4 or 5 games by 1 or 2 points, and at the end of the day, we weren't good enough. Our league is a little better than people thought. And thinking now, I think Virginia Tech, Miami, and Duke are going to surprise some people in the NCAA tournament. One thing, Stephen, it's one thing to be good in the regular season and another thing to be good in the tournament. I think our league will be good in the tournament. It's like last year, the Pac-12, nobody thought they were any good, and then the tournament came and they were the best league in the tournament. And to me, that's still important. Not the regular season is important. That's over with now. What do your teams do in the NCAA tournament? You get in the tournament because you win games in your league. And that's what happened last year with some leagues, and they didn't do well in the tournament. So let's see how the teams do this year. I know that Virginia Tech's playing at a really high level. It's always disappointing. If they hadn't beaten Duke, which is a pretty tough thing to do in New York, they wouldn't be in the tournament. Texas A&M got to the finals of their tournament, and they are not in the tournament. That's surprising to me. I think it's important the committee takes all the season. That's important. But you have to look at the last few games, and if you're losing by 20 and 30, that has to be a problem for a committee. If you're playing really well, it should be something the committee notices. I don't think they took that into account with Texas A&M. And I don't think they would have let Virginia Tech in. And they're both playing at a high level. They both can win games in this tournament. And I mean a lot of games. I would not be shocked if they did.
Coach, we don't have much time. I want to get to Duke for a second because you brought up something that I find very interesting where they're concerned now. I don't mean to bring up bad memories because they beat you 3 times this year. Beat you 3 times, including the ACC tournament. But it's Mike Krzyzewski. It's his final year. Here's my thing. You talk about just because of what you do in the regular season doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate to the postseason, to the NCAA tournament specifically. I'm thinking about Duke losing that last game at Cameron Indoor Stadium. I'm thinking about Duke losing in the ACC tournament. I expected them, because they lost to North Carolina in that season finale at Cameron Indoor Stadium, that would be incentive enough for them to run the table. But Virginia Tech obviously had something to say about that, and who knows what's going to happen in the NCAA tournament. Based on what you see, are you surprised at all that Duke lost those quality of games to North Carolina season finale for Coach K and, of course, the ACC tournament?
I'm not surprised. They're very good, but you have to understand their 3 best players, Bencaro, Keels, and kid plays for me, Griffin, are all freshmen. They're all freshmen. Their 3 best players are freshmen. That's not easy to do in the tournament when you're playing against guys that have been there for 5 years. Miami has 5th-year players. Virginia Tech has 5th-year players. A lot of teams in this tournament have 5th-year players. It's hard to overcome that. That's the one thing that will beat Duke in the tournament is that their 3 best players are still freshmen. And Mike Krzyzewski can overcome that because he's the best coach that we've ever had. But it's not going to be easy. You have to like veteran teams in this tournament. I look at Arizona and Gonzaga. They've got a lot of veteran guys. I like their teams. And there's a couple other teams with more veteran guys that are going to be a big factor in this tournament. But I think it'll be hard for Duke, as much as I like them and I like their talent and I like their coach. Their three best players are freshmen. That's not going to be easy to overcome.
Gotcha. Yeah, not having that tournament experience. Coach, real quick, before we let you roll and get to your Final Four, I just want to ask this about you, because watching the ACC tournament, I'm seeing your wife in the stands at Barclays, and I feel the agita for her, just having her husband, having, her sons. What has that experience been like for you? Because it's such an incredible story to be coaching your sons.
Well, it's difficult. I'm so happy to see how good they become, and I'm proud of them. But when you're having a losing season, you don't like much of anything. Yeah. My wife has been great. She had a traumatic experience less than 2 weeks ago that she's overcome. In fact, she's trying to help the young man who actually put an air gun right to her head. She's trying to help him through the community, people in the community that we know. And I don't think there's many people that would do that. That's the kind of person she is, and I'm so proud of her. And, my sons were great. I'm so proud of them. And Buddy, made the first mistake he's ever made in his life, and he owned up to it. I'm proud of him, proud of how he did that. That's more important than the basketball. How you are as off the court is the most important thing. We talk about it a lot, but we sometimes don't see those lessons. And I saw them up close this year with both my wife and with my son. And I couldn't be more proud of them both. And it overcomes and trumps everything else.
As you should be. That story about your wife, just unbelievable.
Coach,
what a special person. Coach, who do you have winning it all, real quick?
I'm going to just guess. It's a guess. I think Arizona, from everything I've seen this year, I like what they're doing.
Like the choice.
It's not going to be easy, but I still think they have. I'm rooting for Gonzaga. Mark Few's a great friend of mine, and he's a great coach. And what he's done is probably the biggest story in modern basketball history, what he's done at Gonzaga. They are a power, and who would have thought that 15 years ago? Nobody. Yeah. Including even Stephen A. Smith.
Well, I'll tell you this much, Arizona is special. I love that choice because they play defense. They play defense. Yeah. See how that works? Yeah. They play defense. They actually stop people from scoring, Coach. All right.
Is that still important?
Yeah, you think?
Coach, thanks you so much for the time. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Former Niners quarterback and social activist tweeting this. Great work today, Tyler Lockett. It felt great being out there with you. Thanks for everyone who tapped in via stream with us. The full video of the workout will be posted tomorrow. Looking forward to doing it again. Who else is working? I'll pull up. All right, let's revisit our conversation earlier. And Marcus, you can really take it wherever you want, but we had a heated discussion about if this is the time for Colin Kaepernick to be back in the NFL and potentially what team would be the right fit.
Listen, Molly, it is teams that could bring Colin Kaepernick in for a workout, and I am of the belief that he would be an upgrade in particular situations. And you got teams that don't have quarterbacks. I know Deshaun Watson is out there, and I know a lot of teams are probably trying to figure out that scenario. But Carolina don't have a quarterback. The Saints don't have a quarterback. Cleveland is in the hunt to try to see if they can get Deshaun Watson. There are teams. My point is there are teams. But this ain't about football. And that's the problem and the issue that everybody runs into when we having this discussion. I think everybody that has talked about Colin Kaepernick from the time that he took his stance until now has all agreed that Colin Kaepernick is good enough to play quarterback in the NFL. Maybe he's not even a starter, which I believe he can be on some rosters. He should be in the NFL. There are not 64 or 32 quarterbacks to me with the talent and the skill set. But what has happened is that he's timed out. And the reason he's timed out is because he took a knee about police brutality, and it brought bad light to the NFL, and the NFL reacted in a way in which they wouldn't react today. I know why the conversation keeps coming up, because we just went through George Floyd. We saw the league put in racism and Black Lives Matter on the field. We saw them take a stance in that particular situation and all of the things that have transpired after that. But Colin Kaepernick ain't been out the league because he ain't good enough to play quarterback. I've seen all of the conversation. I've seen all of the tweets and well, look at his record and look what he was doing. Bruh, listen, I have seen quarterbacks go in games and throw 5 interceptions. I've seen quarterbacks that I have no idea who they are on rosters in the NFL. And you telling me a dude that took a team to a Super Bowl, and I'm not talking about was a part of a team, took a team to a Super Bowl, has not got another shot? It's not about football. It doesn't come back to football. We could have this conversation 1,000 different ways. This is not about Colin Kaepernick's ability. It's not about if he can throw the ball on all levels of the field. It's not about if he's working out with NFL wide receivers or wide receivers that nobody knows. He's good enough to play quarterback in the NFL. He's not going to, because he took a stance and the NFL thought that that stance hurt their bottom line. That's why he's not in the NFL, and that's why it's not time to sign Colin Kaepernick in the minds of the owners in the NFL.
Amen. Amen. That's the bottom line. Antonio Brown is not in the league right now. Is it because of his play on the field?
No, sir.
No.
T.O., when he retired and he wasn't wanted, was it because of his play on the field? Marshawn Lynch was sitting down long before Colin Kaepernick took a knee for the national anthem. No one said anything. Colin Kaepernick's different because Colin Kaepernick took a political stance. And what happened was the owners didn't even care until the situation was politicized and it was turned into something that it was not. And then you had folks all over the country, primarily white, who stood up in the millions and was saying, wait a minute, it's about our country and patriotism. And they said, the hell with that. We will not patronize this product. Remember, Molly, when you came on the air with us years ago and you pointed out how the NFL had released some data, or we had found out some data like the NFL, even though each and every single owner had gotten $246 million apiece, it would have been a little bit more if Colin Kaepernick hadn't protested. And they held that against him, even though they were pocketing $246 million apiece. Because that's what they care about.
Yep.
And everybody acting like they surprised. I'm saying Colin Kaepernick knew that. His woman knew that. His supporters knew that. Eric Reed was in the NFL and he knew it. Everything in life, when you're taking a stance, particularly for righteous causes. Put Swagoo up on the screen when I'm talking to this brother right now. Particularly when your cause is righteous, it usually comes with sacrifice. Nobody brings up the fact that Colin Kaepernick, when you took this stance, it wasn't about football, right? And because it wasn't about football, the NFL said, well, we only want people who are about football. And they had a constituency flooding billions into their coffers who supported their stance. You sued them. You settled with them. So what's the issue with any waiver or anything else if you want to get back into the league? Because you know you couldn't trust them. You couldn't trust them anyway. You knew that because you sued them. It wasn't a secret. You understood exactly what kind of sacrifice you were making. We know it's wrong. We know this brother's been blackballed. We know this brother. Right now, the Steelers should have looked at him.
Yeah.
Right now. They should have looked at him just like they looked at Trubisky. Right now. Okay, we know this, but we also knew they wouldn't. It's not a secret. It's very predictable what's happening to Colin Kaepernick. And what annoys me, what grates my damn nerve, and we do agree, but what grates my damn nerve is not Kaepernick. It's his supporters that act like they don't know.
Yeah, they know.
That act like they don't know. And they know good and damn well they know. You know it don't matter he working out. You know it don't matter that he can play. You know it don't matter that he can start. You know what this is about. He knew it too. And so when you had that opportunity to go for that tryout, which is where you and I part ways a little bit, Marcus, when you had that opportunity to go in front of 26 teams, it wasn't just the 26 teams. It was the world watching, ready to hold those teams accountable if they screwed them over. He passed to go to a high school football field with his clique, and it cost you.
Hold that thought. We're up against it. We got to get in one commercial break. We'll be right back and have much more.
Don't give me no fairness. Ain't about fair, it's about facts. What's the matter with that jab?
I can't hear you, guys. They took my headset off.
You really want to do this? You want to do this?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. We're duking, you're not.
Get that
That's it. No, it dropped. It dropped. It dropped. Squib kick it for crying out loud with 13 seconds left.
Steph Curry's the greatest shooter.
We're not talking about shooting.
What do I need?
I'm talking about winning championships. I got to get my headset back on.
Oh, you know Wednesdays are always a good time. Christopher Mad Dog Russo usually destroys Stephen A. Today he says he's going to beat up on him tomorrow, but we all know that's not true.
Listen.
It's
You're
just
not
trying
going
to speak it aloud. It's very sad.
You've done a great job of elevating your level of credibility. That will not work for you if you continue lying to the American public about him getting the better of me. He had one good moment. Outside of that, he's been beat up, and he's going to get beat up again tomorrow right here, live on First Take. Mad Dog rolled up against. He found his Achilles heel.
Wait, hold on.
Now.
Hold on. Wait. He had one good moment?
One.
And I'm the liar?
By the way, Randy Gregory resigned with the Cowboys. So what?